Hello everyone, this is Miriam and welcome to the last video in the Sketchbook Fun of Course series. Today we are going to create an actual artwork where we are going to use all the things we have learned in the previous videos. And as you can see here, we're going to make this beautiful water lily and add some text to that. And the colors are Hansa Yellow Light, Interferon Blue, Pirul Scarlet, Sap Green and Undersea Green. You can also choose just to work with the three primary colors. And when you mix them, you get the colors you're going to need. We're also going to use a stencil, some brushes, a sponge, some clean water, and of course a size A4 piece of watercolor paper and some ink pens in gold and white, and also some cling film, of course. But let's get started with the painting. I have already made a sketch on my paper and put some masking tape all around so I get nice crispy white edges. And now I'm just wetting the whole area where the water is. So I'm avoiding the leaves and the actual flower and just wetting everything around it. And here I'm just removing some water on one of the leaves because we don't want the blue color to blend into the leaves or the flower. And I have here a flat brush, and now I just begin to dab in the blue color all over the water, where the water is on the sketch. And I'm very careful around the leaves and around the flower. And now we have put on this layer, I'm going to make some effect with some cling film. So I just hurry up and put it on while the paint is still wet. And this is very important, else you won't get any effect at all. So, and now we're just going to let this dry completely, and then we can remove the cling film. So now everything is dry, and I'm gently removing the cling film. And here you can see the effect. And I really love this effect. I think this gives some nice structure into the water surrounding the flower and the leaves. So the next thing we are going to do is we're going to paint the middle of the water lily. And I'm using a light yellow color here. And we always go from light to dark. So we begin with the lightest color, and then we can always put some more darker color on top of that. I'm working wet on dry at the moment because I don't want the paint to flow too much. I want to keep the flower white, and we will surround the flower with a gold line all around like we did in the first video when we painted the lily. So now I'm adding some darker color into the wet paint. But I won't add too much while everything is very wet because I don't want it to flow too much. So now I have changed my brush to a size 6, and then I'm going to mix some green color because we're going to paint the leaves now. And I'm picking up some of my blue and some of my yellow. I'm only working with the 3 primary colors for this painting. I think this is so much fun, and you can just vary the colors depending on how much you put in of the different colors. But before I begin to put paint on the paper, I wet the area where I'm going to paint because I want the paint to flow very nicely on the paper, and I don't want too many hard edges. And now I add in the green paint, and this is quite a light green. We always go from light to dark, so I always begin with the lightest color. And I'm just letting things flow together on the paper, and in some areas I don't even add too much color, but I just allow it to flow free. But still minding the flower, we don't want the flower to be green. And now I'm working on the next leaf in the water, and I wet the leaf and then I go in with the light green color. And now I have given all the leaves a layer of the light green paint. And then we will continue with the next layer. So I'm just going to mix a darker green. I just add a little blue into the mix I already have on my mixing plate. And then I mix the color I would like to work with now. Not too dark yet, so. And then I will rinse my brush, and like before, I'm going to wet the area I'm going to put paint on because I still want the paint to flow nicely together on the paper. I don't want the hard edges, so I wet the area first and then I can drop in the paint. And now I'm mixing a little bit of the red and I'm just dropping that into the darker green color here because I want some variation in the leaves. And I can see on the reference photo I have that there's some reddish color in the leaves. So, and I will also drop in a little bit of blue, and when I do that, the green will just get dark green on the paper because we're still working wet and wet. So the blue will mix with the green and just make it a darker green. So I'm just building up the leaf like this, and yeah, allowing there also to be areas where the color is not that dark. And some of the other leaves in the painting I will just leave with the light green color, and some of them will be a darker green color. But I want it to vary it because when the sun hits the leaves, they have different colors, and some leaves are in the shadow and some are in the sun. So that's the way to do that. And now I will continue with the next leaf. And like before, I waited before I drop in any paint. Now I have done the other leaves that I wanted to be a darker green, and then I will leave the rest with the light green color. And some of them I can see I have dropped in a little bit of red in the light green. And you do that with using the same method, wetting the leaf and then dropping in some red color. And now I'm working in the middle of the water lily. I'm just adding some darker color. And now I want to paint in the shadow in the water underneath the water lily. So I will mix up a dark blue mix, or not dark like that, but just, a strong dark blue mix. And then I will begin to paint in the shadow area underneath the water lily. It's casting a shadow on the water. And now I'm almost finished with the shadow area. And I'm just putting a little bit of shadow underneath the leaf here. And just finishing up. And now I'm going to work on the water in between the leaves. And here I'm adding quite a lot of water into the blue mix I have on my mixing tray, because I want it to match the rest of the water in the rest of the painting. So I'm just going in with quite a light blue color here between all the leaves. And now I have finished that part of the painting, and now I'm grabbing my stencil and I'm going to make some lighter areas in the painting to make some light reflections in the water. And this stencil got quite a few very small holes in it, and that's just what you need. And you don't have to go out and buy this stencil that I've got. If you got one with quite some small holes in it, that would work fine. So this is just to create a little bit of effect in the water. I do love to use the stencil in my painting. I think it's quite a nice method. And the sponge is quite effective in lifting off paint from the paper, so I really love using that as well. And it's not a nature sponge, it's just one of those you have in the house for cleaning the sink and stuff like that. So, and here I'm slowly working my way forward, because I'm seeing how much do I want, and then I go in different places, and here I have allowed some of the larger holes in the stencil. But in this area where I'm going to have my text, I'm not going to make any light reflections. Hard word to say. And now I'm grabbing my gold ink pen, and then I'm doing the outlining on the flower. All the petals of the flower get a gold ink line. And I'm just taking my time with it and working slowly forward. And I really think this is very pretty, and I really like this effect in the painting. And I think it's watercolor is so great to when you add mixed media to it, and you can use all kinds of stuff on top of watercolor, like ink pens and watercolor pens and color pens, and yeah, whatever you like. And now I've grabbed this card size piece of paper to help me decide where my text is going. And I'm just using my pencil to draw an outline because I want the text to be inside this box. And then I'm just adding a line here so that I will have a little variation in the top of the text, and then longer there on the paper it will just be from side to side the same. So, and I'm just using a very light hand, but you have to be able to see your pencil line, of course. So but not too hard. Don't push too hard with the pencil because then can be quite difficult to remove afterwards. So, and now I'm going to darken this box with some blue color so that the text will be easier to see, because we got a lot of reflection and things going on in the background, and then it can be a little bit difficult to see the text. So I'm choosing to do this also because I want to add the text with a white ink pen, but I shouldn't think that this step will be necessary if you want to use a black ink pen to write your text with. And of course, you can use any text you please. You can write a poem or some lines from a book or something like that. I'm going to write one of my favorite Bible verses in this box, but yeah, you can choose to do whatever you prefer. Now everything is dry, and then I'm first going to write the text with my pencil, just to make sure that everything looks okay before I add the ink. So I really suggest that you do that. If you are very talented in this area and you feel confident, you can just go ahead and write the text without any pencil lines first. And here I'm following this line I made in the box. So I will vary the letters a little bit so they follow that line. You don't have to do that if you don't like the look of that. Don't do it. Just do what you prefer. And if you have watched the second video, I have given you some ideas on how to work with text in your paintings, and you can put it any uh, where you like and how you please. So now I'm going in with my white ink pen to add the text. And I found out that this ink pen, it was a little bit too small, or the tip was a little bit too small, so I later changed it to one with a little bit of a larger tip, because that worked quite a lot better. So yeah, I used this one instead of the small one. Because the tip was a little bit lighter and it suited the text better, and I didn't have to work so hard. So yeah, you find your way. Now I have this gold ink from Winsor & Newton, and I thought it could be fun to add a little bit of gold here and there in the painting. I was a little bit unsure on how much to put into the painting, so I'm being a little bit careful and not adding too much. And yeah, you do what you think is the best, and yeah, perhaps it could be nice with quite a lot of gold dots, but I was a little bit insecure on how to make this work. So, but I just thought I would show you that you can add that as well. And now I'm going to remove the masking tape because I think the painting is finished. And I'm always using my hairdryer so I don't tear the paper. It's really a good thing to do, and I almost say it every time I make a video. Use your hairdryer to peel off the masking tape. We don't want to ruin our painting with ruining the paper. So And I just forgot to write in where the Bible verse comes from in the Bible, so I'm just doing that with my ink pen to just finish off the painting. And I do think this became quite pretty. It could look nice in a frame. And yeah, remember to put in your name as well. And now we are just removing some of the pencil lines so that won't show in the painting. And make sure that everything is completely dry, also the ink you've used on your painting, so you won't smear anything. So yes, that's so pretty. I really love how this painting turned out. And here you see the finished results and a little close-up of all the details. So that was the end of this 4 video course. I really hope you enjoyed it and that you learned something and that you began to use your sketchbooks and experiment in your sketchbook, and that I could give you some new ideas to try out and so on. I sure had a lot of fun making these videos, so I hope you had a lot of fun too. But thank you so much for watching, and I will hopefully see you again in another video on this channel. Have a great summer or winter, it depends on where you are in the world. But bye, and see you again in another video.